Hello, drag racing fan. Monday Morning Racer here, Lee Craft. This is Between the Slicks, where we tell all the stories between the slicks of drag racing. Definitely there is big news to chat on. Look back at the Spring Nationals. Look forward to all the drag racing that is happening this weekend, whether that is NHRA, PDRA, Funny Car Chaos. That is where I am at. I do want to apologize. I said I would be live at Pine Valley Raceway, but that's not the case. Apparently, they have terrible signal there. So I decided to stay here in the motel room. Also, trying to fight apparently what is a sinus infection. So, yes, I'm going to take it easy tonight. Enjoy some conversation around drag racing with each and every one of you. Hit that like button, hit the share button, invite folks over to come talk about drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. For the show tonight, we will definitely be diving into the news later on, but our guest tonight is Jason Bunker. Jason is the co-crew chief now of the Paul Lee Racing operation, and looking forward to the conversation with him. I have known Jason since I got into covering the NHRA. He was with Justin Ashley that first year and was there for that first win with Justin Ashley, later on with Tony Gerardo, and now here he is, co-crew chief of the Paul Lee operation after all the movement that happened in the nitro pits, including Clay Milliken's top fueler. So looking forward to talking to him and his career and what it's like being a co-crew chief and what all that entails. Again, right here on Between the Slicks, love chatting with those people that don't regularly get airtime. They don't regularly get their story out there because they have a story and it's worth telling for sure. Going Bracket Racing, thank you for watching along. Casey, if that's you, I imagine it is. Sorry I haven't responded. I definitely will get back to you. Ben, full blast. Drag Racing Central, thank you for watching along. Pat, thank you for watching along. Cool. We look forward to seeing you there at Pine Valley Raceway. And Corey, he says, sup, dude? How's it going, man? It is going great. Just spent some time down in Galveston, Texas after the Spring Nationals and enjoyed the sights, the beach down there. And Doug chimes in and says, hey, bud, good to have you watching along, Doug. So, yes, that was good. And now looking forward to a Funny Car Chaos event here at Pine Valley Raceway in Lufkin, Texas. And I can tell you, Lufkin definitely leans into that pine thing. So if you've never been to East Texas, a lot of people think Texas is like, all flat and prairie and something like that. And certainly the west side of Texas can be that and even desert. But East Texas is very much like the rest of the Southeast. There are a lot of pines in this area, though. You can tell why they call it Pine Valley Raceway. Even when you roll into Lufkin, it's very interesting. It's a big pine tree. Welcome to Lufkin, Texas. And there's a lot of forestry here, apparently. So it is definitely going to be chaos in the pines. And this is a grand reopening for Pine Valley Raceway. They have new ownership. The people that were owners of the San Antonio Alamo Motorplex, I believe is what it was, they are now here at Pine Valley Raceway. Funny Car Chaos comes back to Pine Valley Raceway. We have at least 25 funny cars on the entry list, along with Nitro Harleys, jet cars, and a bracket program. So it is going to be a stellar program if you are in East Texas. If you are anywhere near Texas, you need to be at Pine Valley Raceway this weekend. Friday night, under the lights, qualifying, and then Saturday, one round of qualifying and into eliminations. A stellar, great day of drag racing, whether you pick Friday or Saturday or both. So come on out to Pine Valley Raceway and experience the chaos that is Funny Car Chaos. It was amazing. I'm at the Spring Nationals. I'm doing my thing for Doug Foley and Buddy Hole Racing and just covering the sport in general. And I decided that when I wasn't wearing a team jersey for Doug or Buddy, I would wear my Funny Car Chaos team jersey. And regularly the response was, man, we love the chaos. And man, it's so cool. Not to mention, I saw a lot of Funny Car Chaos classic t-shirts from the first event from there in Ennis, and then a lot of Funny Car Chaos shirts from the inaugural Chaos Cajun Nationals. So it is growing. It is spreading. If you have not experienced the chaos, it is certainly worth experiencing. You are going to love it if you are a drag racing fan. And if you don't love it, I highly suspect that you're not a drag racing fan at all. There you go. So Pine Valley Raceway, you need to be there this weekend for Funny Car Chaos. But if you're on the East Coast, well, you got a couple options. ZMAX Dragway, 4 wides, the Circle K 4 wide nationals there at ZMAX Dragway in Concord, North Carolina, which is just slightly north of Charlotte, North Carolina. The Camping World professionals will be hitting the track along with what is now the Fuel Tech Pro Mod Series, also along with Constant Aviation Factory Stock Showdown. They are also going 4 wide for the first time. It is going to be a stellar show there for sure. And I want to say, if you have never experienced a 4 wide, don't diss it until you have been. It is impressive. And I will say, when all the cars do line up, that is one heck of a cool photo and a cool visual. 4 nitro cars passing you in unison. It is epic. It really is. But also, ZMAX is such a great facility to showcase drag racing. It truly is the Bellagio of drag strips. I'm not saying that it has all the heart and quaintness as other drag strips, but it is definitely the premier facility over any other drag strip you are going to encounter. So if you are out there and you're able to make ZMAX and check out that 4 wide, you definitely need to do it. But that's not all that's going on the East Coast. If you are a little further in, well, you can check out PDRA action at Beach Bend Raceway there in Kentucky. The PDRA, yes, it may be an 8th mile series, but they have some of the toughest competitors in Pro Boost, Pro Nitrous, Extreme Pro Stock, top dragster, top sportsman. The guys and gals who race at the PDRA, they take it seriously. And it is wild, the competition you will see at a PDRA race. There's oftentimes the people running top sportsmen, it's like, guys, why don't you just go run Pro Nitrous? Why don't you just go run Pro Boost? Because you could run. Matter of fact, some of them could qualify if they wanted to, and yet they're doing bracket racing with cars of that speed and that quickness. The PDRA is an amazing entity for drag racing and in drag racing, and if you are in that area around Kentucky at Beach Bend Raceway, check them out. Their eliminations are usually on Saturday. I believe that is the case even for Beach Bend. So check out PDRA Racing there at Beach Bend Raceway. Well, there is drag racing all over the country, and wherever you are going to be, I hope you enjoy it. Go support your local track and support the sport of drag racing. We're going to take a quick break and dive into some drag racing news. All right, reminder, around half hour mark, we're going to have Jason Bunker on. We'll chat with him as our guest. I do want to bring up this thumbnail. I did catch up with Bobby Bodie Sunday after his explosion and earning a runner-up there at the Spring Nationals. You can see that video on Monday Morning Racer platforms, Facebook and YouTube. And wow, Bobby, I want you to know, no matter where you stand on his outburst, we'll put it that way. He is usually not like that. He's a very even keel young man, and he doesn't get overly excited. But, ladies and gentlemen, it has been very fascinating to me, the people who have knocked him for showing that emotion, that they haven't just stepped back and thought to themselves, he went through something that I will probably never experience. When was the last time you were next to a bomb and you survived? And in essence, that is what he experienced. Straight behind a bomb and it blowing up in his lap, and that destroyed the family race car, his favorite favorite body, as he said in one interview, and a whole lot of parts hurt for a team that doesn't have a lot of parts. But for a small crew, a crew that doesn't come out and race each and every weekend, it put them back apparently a race, but they will be back at the track. Tentatively, it does look like it will be Norwalk for Bobby Bodie. And I will say this, that outburst of emotion, I honestly believe we should celebrate. It was good to see, and whether you agree with it or not, well, it worked out for him, because he's got himself a new helmet coming. He got a boom box out of it. Yes, he needs a new body, but they technically do have another body. They would need something for a backup, or to keep the one they have as a backup and put a new body on. Nonetheless, it worked out for him. There is such a buzz around what Bobby Bodie went through. I think the video I've got on Facebook of the explosion and the interview has over 13,000 views, and there's like 6,000 views on YouTube, and people are clicking the articles and people are watching other videos. He was able to put himself in the spotlight by earning it, getting to the final round and being ahead of Matt Hagan. And I want to say this, over the expression of throwing the gloves, and by the way, going back and picking up a glove and throwing it again, I thought that was just awesome. I thought that was just priceless. Like, I'm not done with you. I'm going to throw it again. It was his expression with Amanda Busick. When Amanda said, you were out on Matt. And if you go look at the incrementals on NHRA.com, and yes, you can do that, ladies and gentlemen. They have the incrementals on NHRA.com. Go to detailed results, and you can look at a round-by-round, detailed, incremental layout of the races. Well, he was out on Matt Hagan until the end. And I think that says a lot for a young man that does actually make tuning decisions. He's not just holding the wheel. He is actually making tuning decisions, along with help from Tim Wilkerson and others. But definitely someone I think that's got a bright place in the sport and a future in the sport. We just got to get him up to snuff on some of the social media outlets and things of that, and put himself out there and tell his story more often, and people can connect with him in whatever way that they desire to do so. But you'll see Bobby back at the track for sure. And with that being said, staying in the funny car ranks, big news today that, well, probably the worst kept secret, honestly. Ron Capps, it's official. Excuse me. He makes the move to Toyota. Man, I think that super body looks pretty good in Napa blue with the lines that are on it. And let me say this. If this comes to a shock for you, that Ron Capps makes the move to Toyota, well, you probably haven't been to a national event yet. Like, it just hasn't been in your area. Because if you've been to a national event and seen what's happening at the races, and you're just slightly observant, this isn't a shocker at all. Again, Ron just not really keeping secrets that well at all. And here's why. Since Pomona, we have seen Ron, his Dodge bodied funny car, pulled by a Toyota. The tow vehicle has been a Toyota for all the races this year. Not only that, but he also has his brand, t-shirts, things of that nature, on the Fatheads sunglasses trailer, which all the drivers on that trailer, except for him until now, were Toyota drivers. Coletta, Alexis DeJoria, and now Ron Capps. And he actually was on the front part, and he's the only one that didn't have a Toyota badge on the fire suit. I'm sure that sticker has been placed on that trailer by now. But really, no shock at all that he makes this move. Especially, remember, he made comments that Dodge didn't want to make a deal. And he went with an entity where he can make a deal. And right now, let's say you fall on the lines of, I don't want Toyota in the sport, which I find very strange. I think drag racing should be accepting of nearly any brand that wants to come into the sport. But look at what Toyota does for the sport. Do you see Chevy promoting John Force or Robert Hight? No. Do you see Dodge promoting anybody except for Leah and Matt, who are directly sponsored by them? And by the way, that's not even full seasons. In an interview with them about the upcoming Z-Max 4-wide, they said there's races for both Leah and Matt that are not covered by Dodge and not covered by any sponsor. They are on the sponsorship hunt. Well, look at Toyota, though. Ron Capps comes to the team. They even have a little unveiling video. Pretty cool short little video, too. You know, him rolling up in a red Supra and getting out, and they're like, it's about time. And J.R. Todd there and Alexis there. And that's the kind of stuff that I think Ron was looking for. It's the kind of stuff the sport needs. And you might want to knock Toyota and be like, they're not American and they shouldn't be in the sport. But they're the one promoting what you say you love as a fan more than any other manufacturer right now. When's the last time you saw Greg Anderson in a Chevy commercial? When's the last time you saw Erica Enders in a Chevy commercial? Why not put Erica in a Chevy commercial? To me, it is a no-brainer. And I have to agree with Pat. Pat says, I don't care if Kia comes out with a body. We need every manufacturer we can get. I agree. I think I would love to see that diversity in NHRA drag racing. I would love to see Toyota in Pro Stock. I'd love to see Toyota in Factory Stock. Maybe we'll see them in Factory X coming up in the future. Possibly. Who knows? But I think any brand that wants to come and does the work that Toyota's putting in, that is good for our sport for sure. Now, Kenneth, he chimes in and says, we shall see the results. I'm sure it's going to take time to figure out the body, but we're talking about Ron Capps. This is a man that has driven, Top Fuel for one, remember that, and won in Top Fuel. But he has driven in Camaros. He's driven in Monte Carlos. He's driven in Dodges. I imagine there is a Camaro in there somewhere for all I can remember. I don't remember all the bodies, but nonetheless, he's driven in a lot of different bodies for sure. He's a champion. He's second all-time on the win list in Funny Car. He is going to, acclimate himself to that body like a duck in water, you could say. We're going to see the results from that team, I think, soon. Because the other teams that we are looking at with those bodies have their challenges right now. J.R. Todd has not performed at a high level really since his Gator Nationals win a year ago. And Alexis DeJoria has jumped up and performed well at times, but it seems like they're still working out bugs and kinks in their performance. That evident with what happened to her at the Spring Nationals. And by the way, glad she was all right, and glad drivers are stepping away and the safety has stepped up how it has, so that they can take hard licks like that and walk away and just have their emotions come out and be evident, instead of them having to take a trip to the medical center and get any work on them. So it's amazing to see. Continuing in drag racing news, the All-American Front Dragster Association, I think that is the name. You can check out the article on Competition Plus, and I would highly recommend the article on Competition Plus. This concerns the Heritage Series at Beach Bend, and that is coming up. Well, there may very well be a boycott. This is what it stems to. The front engine dragster guys in the Heritage Series, they wanted to expand the field. They found a sponsor to pay out more and go beyond 8 cars to have 16 cars. The NHRA has said no. They have said no, and the response from Jeffrey Young, this is why I highly recommend the Competition Plus article, because that response is there in an updated fashion, heading the article, is that they've already had the 8-car field open for entries for a month and a half. And the NHRA feels that opening it up now, very close to the event, is not the right thing to do. This is one of those areas where I think the NHRA needs to be flexible. And oftentimes they are not flexible. You have an entity that is the group that fields, supports, showcases these cars, the front engine dragsters in the Heritage Series, and they find a sponsor and they find the money to expand the field. Well, let it happen. Even though you've had it open for a month and a half, if the money has come, make the announcements, make the adjustments, and assist them as the sanctioning body to improve on the show. One of the issues here is cited that the funny cars apparently don't show up to this event, citing that one year there was only 3 or 4 funny cars of the Heritage Series. Many of you may know that the Heritage Series funny car guys, they are predominantly West Coast, and this is the one time that the Heritage Series tour makes it out towards the east side of the country, arguably not that far east, but nonetheless in Kentucky at Beach Bend. And they have had issues in the past of individuals showing up, apparently. This is one of those situations where I do think that the NHRA is being stubborn and they are not being flexible. If someone's brought the money to the table, use the money. Let them have more cars. That's just bad PR, bad optics to say to a sponsor, no, we don't want your money and we're not going to increase the field. A little flexibility, I think, in this case can go a long way. Apparently, there is a vote coming up, and you may very well see, depending on that vote, well, no front engine dragsters show up for the Heritage Series there at Beach Bend Raceway. Nothing like this has really happened since 1981 and funny cars at the Cajun Nationals. Dive back into that. There was a boycott. It's one of the few, if not the only time, that a boycott was successful. And there were changes made after it for sure. But yes, I think this is the NHRA being a little bit inflexible. Be flexible. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps. What a great spring nationals it was. I was there, and it was a spectacular event. Now, it is certainly sad to see Beach Bend Raceway, excuse me, not Beach Bend, see Houston Raceway Park go away. Granted, there will be drag racing there throughout the rest of the year and even in the next year, but apparently when the lease is up, it's right before when the national event would be. Therefore, we're not having a national event, though there are rumors that there may very well be another national event. Granted, from several sources, I get conflicting reports that no way at all, and it is not going to happen. But it was sent out in epic fashion. As we mentioned earlier, certainly Bobby Bodie with the blow up, it's kind of heightened and taken away the limelight from Matt Hagan in that win, which was an emotional win. Dick Venables, his dad, and they lost him recently, and to get that win in Houston, basically hometown, that was a big deal. But we have Brittany Force then establish, maybe a little bit of dominance and saying, hey, we are the top car right now. She is the first repeat winner of the year in Top Fuel. And I think it took a little longer than we all expected. And here we are. She is now the points leader, but you have Steve Torrence still having a good year. But nonetheless, Brittany has kind of stepped out and showcased that there is some dominance. She's the force to be reckoned with Grubby tuning the car. And then Camry Caruso qualifies number 1. You have a little bit of the drama with the wing and the parachutes, but goes in the eliminations, and she takes out some of the biggest names in the sport and meets up in the final against arguably the biggest name in Pro Stock. All-female final for the first time ever in Pro Stock, and she was close and was able to make it close with the issue with the burnout. And apparently, I remember her dad Mark, replied to an individual that it was a fifth gear issue. So wasn't anything to do with the clutch. They had issues throughout the day. It was not a easy run to the final for them. It was a fight. So the spring nationals there at Houston Raceway Park, what a great way to send it off. What a great way to close that chapter of drag racing there in the Houston area of NHRA national events with that. And the crowd was fabulous. It was packed each and every day. They were a responsive crowd, and it was refreshing to see that. And again, I would say for most of the races this year, except for Pomona, and Pomona had the issues with restrictions and just being lifted and things of that nature. But the races have been very well attended at the NHRA national events. Excuse me. So we do have Jason Bunker in the green room. We'll have him on in just a few moments. Feel free to chime in with those predictions. We've got one from Amran. He says, my predictions for this weekend, Justin, Ashley, and Matt. Well, you never know with 4 wide. It can definitely be wild. And can Steve Torrence take back the title of Mr. 4 wide? We'll see. Sammy Eubanks. Sammy, how you doing, man? I'm doing great. He chimes in. Good to have you watching along. You all can catch him there at NHRA national events and other national events, providing the melodious tunes in the pits. So catch out the concerts in the pits with Sammy Eubanks when you get an opportunity. We're going to take a break, and after this break, we'll have Jason Bunker on, co-crew chief with the Paul Lee Racing operation. After this word from Destroyer 1320. If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope. Jason, man, how's it going?
Yeah, it's good, man. How about you?
Man, I'm doing good here in Lufkin, Texas. I assume you're somewhere in the Concord area getting ready for ZMAX?
Yeah, I'm here actually in my hotel room here in Concord getting ready for the weekend here. Looking forward to it.
Definitely, man, definitely. Well, look, thank you for your time coming on. And again, with this show, love to chat with people who folks may not know, but they probably should know. And you're one of those individuals. You've been out there, I think, longer than people realize. So let's dive in first and foremost. Why drag racing, dude? How did it all begin? And you work your way up to, well, here you are, co-crew chief of the Paul Lee Racing operation.
I probably didn't have much of a choice with drag racing, actually. It's something my grandfather did, my dad did, and my family's pretty much been a part of since before I came along. So that's probably the very, very beginning there. And, obviously started out probably as a kid running around the racetrack kind of in everybody's way. And along that way, learned some, tasks and duties and, handed things along, clean the oil pan, wipe the tires, clean windows, whatever the case may be. And then obviously sped up along the way to the opportunity here with Paul and had some stops along the way with some other teams, Tony Gerardo and Justin Ashley's team with Dustin Davis. And that's a quick overview, quick synopsis of that.
Well, let's dive into, I first encountered you at the Justin Ashley camp. You were there for about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer, part of that first win and things of that nature. So what was it like working with Davis Motorsports, and what was it like working on a top fuel dragster compared to the funny cars?
For me, I really owe my opportunity doing this stuff to Dustin, so that's first and foremost for me. He gave me the first chance. Actually, with car before Justin Ashley's car, he owned it with a gentleman named Richard Townsend out here on the West Coast. And that was my first foray into the pro categories, I guess you could say, with Richard and Dustin. Lance Larson along the way. That's where my relationship with Lance started. But, I owe a lot to those guys, Dustin and Lance, really. I'll give him a lot of credit, too, for where I'm at as far as, my current role. And as far as dragster versus funny car, I'm probably more of a funny car guy, I guess you could say. But the dragster was awesome. Had a lot of good times working with, like I said, with Lance, and then obviously with Aaron Brooks. Learned a lot from both of those two gentlemen, and hopefully it transferred that over to what I'm doing right now. But funny car is more where I'm at. Funny car is more of my passion and what I'd like to be around.
Are there any particular challenges from the top fueler to the funny car? You hear sometimes guys in the pits are like, I don't want to work on those cars, and vice versa. So is there really anything different?
Funny car, you've got to baby it a little more. A dragster, you kind of, you've got to push a little harder. You've got to be a little more aggressive. Bigger moves, bigger swings. Funny car, you've kind of got to baby step and make some smaller moves as far as going up and down the racetrack and how you address problem spots and how you address navigating, getting the car up and going. I mean, they're definitely different, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're two of the baddest vehicles on the face of the planet. So for me, the opportunity to work on either one is more than I'm more than grateful for the opportunity to do either one. But like I said, I'm definitely more of a funny car guy.
All right, so Are you going to be helping Tony Gerardo at all now with this shift and making any tuning adjustments over there, or is this strictly now you're with Paul Lee and that's what you're focused on?
I would say that I'm going to help Tony with whatever he wants to do as far as moving forward. I want to see him continue to do this. I want to see him continue to, take that program that he built. You know what I mean, from the ground up. Not a lot of people realize we built that thing from square one, brand new race car, brand new parts and pieces, a lot of new guys, a lot of rookie guys, and I want to see him continue to do that. I want to see him continue to be successful because he's really shown that you can go out there if you've got a passion and you've got drive to go out and make this happen out there. He proved you can go do it. I mean, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with, good parts and pieces, and, results come. I feel like we had a really good run there, and I feel like we built a really good program. He afforded the opportunity to go out and do it, and I think we gave him a pretty solid race car there that we can go up down the racetrack and put a smile on his face with. So, I mean, as far as running the day-to-day and running it, no, I'm not going to be tuning the car, but I will help him with whatever he wants as far as people, parts, direction, any of that kind of stuff. So
definitely. I mean, that car became a car that if it showed up, it was a threat to go round. So you could not take it lightly at all. And not to mention when he had the purple flames on it, it was like the best looking funny car out there. That thing was sick. It was sick. But
that's his look. That's his look.
It is such a good looking in that livery. I mean, look, I'm glad there was a partnership and sponsor and all that, but the purple flames on the matte black, that was a good looking funny car. Well, with what you did there and what you did with Justin Ashley, that's why when I heard the announcement, I'm like, well, duh, I'm not shocked that Jason Bunker gets the nod. But again, people probably haven't heard Jason Bunker's name. How did it work out? What was the phone call like, or what was the email like? How did Paul reach out to you?
It was very genuine. I mean, it was kind of it was unexpected. It was definitely a phone call that I did not see coming. I wasn't actively thinking, hey, I want to go do something different. But, for me, it's one of those things where, things happen for a reason. You know what I mean? Doors open to opportunities that you weren't even necessarily thinking of. I'd been talking with some other teams about going to work with them, and, none of it really came to fruition. None of it really made the most sense. And then when I got this phone call, I mean, first off, it was a funny car. I've already made my love for that known, but this phone call to me was big. I mean, it was big for me. It's a big opportunity. Paul's got a lot over here that is exciting to be a part of. Business wise, I mean, it speaks for himself. You know what I mean? The guy has taken and built, an empire on his side. So for him to give me a call and want to speak with me about maybe coming over here and working with him and working with Dustin, because that was a huge part of this for me was, is Dustin, I'm going to still be involved. And when I heard Dustin was still going to be here, that was a big green light for me. And, Steve Cole, who works over here with Paul and with Clay Milliken's team, is a good friend of mine. So there's, there was some familiarity there. It wasn't such, walking into a building or walking into a program of people you don't know. I knew a handful of the guys over here, and what Paul has to offer, man, was a first-class racing operation with a future and growth, and the ability for me to, go do this at a high level full time in a situation that works well for me and my family. So.
Did you already know Dustin before stepping into this situation? Was there already a relationship, or is that something y'all are having to build and craft along with crafting a racing operation?
It's funny because we actually, the trailer that Tony purchased was actually one of the ex-Napa trailers. And when we bought that trailer, we worked right with Dustin, actually. So that's the only foray I've got with Dustin out there as far as what we know about each other was we bought a trailer and he was giving me the ins and outs and all the details and all the little tips and tricks for what to do with it. And at that time, kind of built like a small friendship over it, but never had a working relationship with Dustin. I had heard a lot of good things. Obviously, being around Tober for so long, the guy's talent is off the charts. So, I mean, that was, I didn't need any introduction on that. So, no, to push that out there, I had never worked with Dustin. I had never really worked on anything outside of, hey, what's up with this trailer? What's the history on it? So that's basically all.
Well, now there was this party in the lounge one night. No.
Yeah. You
So
never
Mike,
know what you never know with the old wine nights.
bingo. Like I have heard, like there have been a lot of people jammed into the lounge on wine nights. So
I was never a part of that, but I have heard some stories. So I feel like the opportunity to work with Dustin, like I said, for me when Paul called, that was a big portion of me wanted to be a part of this.
Cool. Well, Mike Ashley chimes in and says, Jason will do well. It will be exciting to watch him grow. Jason, you have the title of co-crew chief.
Yep.
What the heck does that mean?
I think it means that we go about deciding what we're going to do with this race car as a team. Dustin and I both, we both probably bring things to the table. We both probably bring some knowledge to the table. We're both, young guys. So I think for both of us to tackle this together, grow, learn, build this thing, and give Paul, a heck of a race car is something that as a team, I feel like, sky's the limit for us.
For sure. I saw a little bit over the weekend. You were diving into what I call the can of worms, the black box there on the front of the car, and bringing Paul into the beams and things of that nature. Anything that might not be visible that is a part of your duties to the fans going by and looking and viewing upon the team at a national event?
Oh man, I'm not afraid to dive in and do anything, whether it's building short blocks. I'll help out with all the clutch work. In the shop before we came to this race, spent a lot of time going over the clutch area, just trying to wrap my head around this combination. It's totally different than what we had with Tony's car. Tony's car, we had more of a, standard, I guess you can call it, quote unquote, 6-disc combination out here through Force. And this is a Tobler 5-disc, completely different combination than what I've ever been a part of. But, I wanted to wrap my head around it. I wanted to dive in head first, and I wanted to see what it was all about. And, we went to Houston, and I feel like we at least got ourselves a couple of good runs to build a baseline off of to help this thing grow. But, I'll build short blocks. I'll work on heads. I'll, wire plumb the car. I'll fix things. I'll make fuel lines. I can pretty much get out there and help the guys with anything they need. Teach them how to do it the right way, teach them the way that Dustin and I would like to see it done. And, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty.
Definitely. I've seen you get the hands dirty on a race weekend for sure. With going into the 4-wide at ZMAX, so everybody loves to talk about how chaotic it is for the drivers, but it's just as chaotic for the crew people. It is a whole orchestra of getting cars pulled out, backed up, lined up. So talk to me about the craziness that is 4-wide drag racing, and then at Charlotte in those little bitty staging lanes.
Yeah, the 4-wide deal, it's everything's just, you look at it from the crowd's perspective, and it's, 4 cars, and it's definitely a spectacle. But as far as from running a car, everything happens so much faster in the staging lanes. And Dustin and I were actually talking about this earlier with some of the guys who had never been a part of the 4-wide. All the decisions, whether it's clutch calls, ignition maps, tire pressures, wheelie, all the things that go into running the car, you really have to make those decisions a lot faster. So you've really got to be up on your game as far as trying to plot out what's going on, watching the racetrack. You got cloud cover. Do we not have cloud cover? Just really, you got to be on your game. Instead of having 2 cars and 2 cars and 2 cars and, first round taking, 30 to 40 minutes, first round can take 15 minutes now. So you've really just got to be, up on it. So I think, the chaos there, starting, backing up from the burnout, making sure everybody's on the same page. There's a cadence up there with all the crew chiefs as far as raising your hand to let everybody know you're ready to roll. All that stuff comes into play. And then after you walk away, you turn it over to the drivers and they do their jobs.
All right. Well, it's been a good chat on drag racing for sure. Let's dive into some other things, though, because you're not just a drag racing head or nut. You're an avid sports guy from what I understand and see. So what sports do you enjoy the most? And, what do you think of the current place of Major League Baseball and the NFL?
So I'm definitely a big football and baseball guy. I grew up playing baseball all the way through school. And so for me, the MLB, I like where it's at. It's exciting to me. I'm a big A's fan. Grew up in California, so I'm an A's fan. I'm a big Raiders fan. Actually, I'm probably a bigger Raiders fan than I am probably anything else in the world. So, for me, it's tough to be an A's fan because we just seem like we groom talent for everybody else and then trade it away. So that's tough every year. But it's fun to watch them grow. It's fun to watch how they do business. They pinch pennies, but they still put out a product that wins games. So that's kind of neat to see. And then as far as being a Raider fan, that can be tough. Let's just say that it can be tough to be a Raider fan. But I'm excited about the direction they're going. I'm a big Derek Carr guy. Trade for Devontae Adams. Trying to rebuild the defense. I could sit here for days and talk about that stuff, but yeah, at the end of the day, those are the two biggest things. And for me, I grew up playing baseball. That's pretty much all I did until I got into the car stuff. But for me, the biggest thing nowadays is my 9-year-old son plays travel baseball now, and that is probably one of the coolest things that I can sit back and watch him have that same passion for football, have that same passion for baseball, and do them both at a high level. So, for me, that's cool. And my youngest son's he's 6, and he's getting into the sports thing as well. So, to see that pass down, that probably means the most to me going on right now.
Have you been to the new stadium with the Raiders? Have you been able to get by?
I have not been to a game. I've been to the stadium and drove around and checked it all out and put my eyes on it. And my wife and I have been talking about going to a game with some friends of ours for a little bit. So I think, we may try to do that this year.
Do it, man. Do it. I know I did the tour at AT&T Stadium with the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. I'm a Cowboys fan, and it is just so impressive what they're doing with modern stadiums. It is just insane. And that black pearl of a stadium there in Las Vegas is just impressive.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody call it the Death Star, and it is pretty fantastic to see. Going to games at the Oakland Coliseum, and you never know what you're going to get there, whether it's a sewage leak or rats running around, or
right.
Who knows what you're going to. An A's or a Raiders game was always a crapshoot. So to see the Raiders leave town, I wasn't one of those people who was mad about it. I was actually encouraged by it, and I was happy for it. So, yeah, to see that happen, and then obviously the A's, who knows what's going to happen with them. They're building a ballpark on the water, then they're not building one on the water. Who knows? So we'll just keep pushing along and keep being loyal fans at that point.
Speaking of fandom, Imran Hussein wants to know about NASCAR. NASCAR fan at all? Watch it at all?
I grew up watching NASCAR more younger. I was more of an Earnhardt fan, Earnhardt Jr., grew up close to the area. If you're going to talk about pound for pound race car drivers in the face of the planet, Kyle Larson has got to be up there. So for me, he grew up in, I believe, Elk Grove, California. I grew up in Folsom. So for me, I'll watch NASCAR, but I'll watch to see where Kyle Larson finishes. Outside of that, Chris Bell's a dirt track guy. One of Kyle's, I believe, friends. So he's a guy I'll root for as well, but not really a huge NASCAR fan anymore.
Man, I want to see the crossover so bad. Put Greg in a stock car and put Kyle in the pro stock car. It's got to happen. Somebody's got to get that done.
Tony Stewart's got to do that. Tony Stewart's got to get Kyle Larson in something.
Yes. We've got to see that happen for sure. I want to see Tony in a pro stocker. I've seen him several times now filming, testing in the Top Fueler, and he has put in some solid laps for sure. But there's something about a door car and Tony I would still like to see.
Oh, I think everyone got a glimpse of Tony Stewart last week after that final round with Bobby. Just what a guy Tony can be and what he is for motorsports as a whole, not just drag racing or NASCAR or, non-wing or wing sprint cars. Anything with wheels and tires and a motor in it, Tony he can go out there and do it in anything. So I think that's I think as, drag racers, I think we're fortunate to have a guy like that come into the sport and want to be successful in the sport. So that's pretty sweet.
Definitely is. And, mentioning Bobby Bodie, you being co-crew chief at Paul Lee's operation, something like that happens, God forbid. I know y'all don't want that to happen, but we're burning nitromethane. You never know what might happen. What's the procedure after that?
Try to find out what caused it would be the first thing, run through the checklist of so what came first, you know what I mean? and do your best to figure out how to not make that happen again. And it's inevitable. I think everybody's had a boom around here, so it does happen. As hard as you push these cars and the level of competition out here, first and foremost, tip of the cap to Bobby, to Bob, to that whole team. They were running well. They earned that. They earned every opportunity to be in that final. And before the ending everybody saw, I mean, I believe he was ahead of Matt. So I mean, that was going to be one of those things where it shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I mean, first and foremost, he's safe. And then after that, go through the checks and balances of trying to figure out how to not to let that happen again.
Yes, he was ahead on Matt, and I love the emotion he showed of the interview with Amanda when Amanda said you were out on him, and he was actually truly speechless. It's one of the few times I've seen someone speechless. Oftentimes they're like, I'm speechless, and then they run their mouth. No, he was actually speechless and walked away.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was definitely cool to see. Well, I've got to ask, there's a big personality over there at the Paul Lee Racing operation. I don't know how well you knew her coming in. I'm sure you did. But is the Krista Baldwin energy contagious? Yeah. Can the team handle it?
Yes, it is definitely contagious. And she shows up every day with a smile on her face. And I knew Krista, enough just being around the races. And I know her boyfriend, Bobby. So I think that drag racing needs more energy like Krista brings to the table as a whole. She's got a passion for the sport. She's got a family history in the sport. And she's out here. She's got a top fuel car going that she purchased from her grandfather that, she's doing a great job, and she's put together a good team. And they're out here this weekend in Charlotte and, want nothing more than to root for, our coworker and also another rising young, star out here.
Yeah, I don't have it. I should have uploaded it, but I was filming you doing your job, and then Krista walks in and does Krista things. I'm like, yep, that's Krista. There you go.
Always has a smile on her face, always looking to bring energy, always looking to motivate people, always looking to put people in a good mood. I mean, she definitely brings the energy, and she definitely brings the positivity to the team. Not necessarily that it was lacking, but it's just one of those things that's refreshing. I think the guy, you ride to the racetrack with her, and she's got playlists and music going, and trying to get everybody going in the morning, especially on race day last weekend. It was quite funny. So
awesome, stellar, man. Well, Jason, as we wind this thing down and let you go for getting rest up for the festivities of NHRA Camping World Drag Racing there at ZMAX, do you have any? What are the aspirations beyond this? Is it be crew chief? Is it drive? Is it general manager? Where does it go? I know that's like, oh, well, I hadn't been on the job at 2 weeks, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, my goals here are, my goal is here to do this for a long time. I wanted to do this at a full-time level and be able to race as a career. And so I think I'm on my start to doing that, and I'm fortunate for the opportunity here with Paul. Can't thank him enough for the opportunity and for what he's given Dustin and I as far as, a platform to get out here and do this. But I definitely want to continue to do this. I want to be put my best foot forward, and I want to get out there and race at a high level. So, aspirations, I want to win a world championship or a couple, and hopefully one day we can work to that level. But we got to start with square one. We got to walk before we can run. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to wanting to do it the right way and wanting to learn and grow and build this like it should. Not just jumping out there and hoping that it works out. We're looking to build something here. Between Dustin and I, and then obviously myself, I want to grow from there. So,
well, man, I definitely know that you will be doing that, and all the best to you. Thank you for the time coming on the show and allowing folks to learn a little bit more about Jason Bunker, a critical name out there of the tuning tandem for Paul Lee's NHRA fuel funny car operation. Thank you, Jason. And look, y'all go have yourself a good 4 wide.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the time, and thank you for all the good, for all the good messages along the way.
Yes, sir. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. That's been Jason Bunker. We'll continue right after the break.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching along in this 90th episode of Between the Slicks. Be sure to hit the like button for me and hit the share button. And if you are watching on YouTube, or if you haven't watched on YouTube, go by the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. That is free. And hit that notification bell. You get notified when all the good, juicy content drops on Monday Morning Racer, such as Between the Slicks and even more in the world of drag racing and beyond in motorsports. Well, I have gone about as long as I can. I am dealing with some type of sinus infection. I am going to lay down and get ready for funny car chaos here at Pine Valley Raceway. So, again, if you're in East Texas, funny car chaos, that's where you need to be. If you're around the Kentucky area, Beach Bend Raceway with the PDRA, that's where you need to be. If you're on the East Coast and the Southeast, ZMAX Dragway for the Circle K 4-Wide Nationals, just north of Charlotte, North Carolina in Concord. That is where you need to be. But if you're nowhere near any of those places, get to your local strip and enjoy drag racing. Pat, thanks for chiming in. Says thanks for another great show. I appreciate that. To each and every one of you, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean.